Notes.
Yeah. But if I'm gonna get an automaton, am I pronouncing it correctly? Automaton. I want to get the deluxe version. I want to go all in. I don't go halfway. For now,
you have to fully commit.
Fully commit, yeah. And hello, for anyone that's viewing, we are talking about musical instruments like the automaton and the slide whistle.
So, little guy.
Yeah, that is just so cute. I love the little face. Like the face just gets me. It gets me. Oh man. All right, let me just grab this. I'm so excited for today's show. A little bit different than originally scheduled programming due to unforeseen circumstances earlier today. So we have a different guest, as you can see, my friends. It's Totemlydrunk we have here with us again, back today. So thank you, Totem, for being here.
This time, with hopefully 100% less power outages.
I'll try my best to not turn my computer off again. I will try my best. On that note,
at least if it happens, we know exactly what's going to happen to the lobby. So, we'll be ahead of the game. Yeah, so I'll just know to just continue right away.
And you can just play some music for them on your automaton.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
How much did it cost for that cheaper one?
It was like $22.
That's not bad. Maybe I'll get a cheaper one first to see if I can figure it out.
Well, I can tell you, just based on the board, it's a lot harder to play the notes on the small one. A lot less room there.
Fair enough. Yeah. Oh, I have like small itty bitty fingers. I'm able to do it. On that note, speaking of small fingers, this is such a great segue. Let me play the intro for the show, and then we can dive in. So let me grab this, and away we go. Pop up the volume.
Oh, this will be good.
Grab your drink, take a seat, because it's definitely time to get on the point with your host, Malkarii.
I'll be watching over you.
All right, so a little bit of audio issues with that. That was strange. That's okay though. So for those that are here that might not know what this show is, it's called On the Point. I am Malkarii. Today's guest is Totemlydrunk. What the show normally is about is it's for helping the newer or more experienced competitive Overwatch players that are in the bronze, silver, gold range improve their gameplay, learn how to play their heroes better, as well as how to work on a team better as well. So that's typically the goal of this show. Today we're changing the format just a little bit. Normally we cover a hero and dive into the nitty-gritty on how to play heroes better and tips and tricks from very experienced players. But due to some unforeseen circumstances, today's plan has changed last second. So we're starting 3 hours later than we normally do. We have Totem here with us today, who is super knowledgeable in all things Overwatch. Overwatch is his life. And today we're going to be talking about some PTR changes and maybe some other Overwatch tidbits that we can think of. So before we dive into that, Totem, you've been on the show before, but reintroduce yourself. Who is Totem?
Well, I am an Overwatch podcaster and content creator. I have an Overwatch podcast network, which is OWL Network. So we have a number of different shows. We have Heroes Never Die, which is our variety show where we talk anything about the community, what's buzzing on the forums, on Reddit, things like that. Talk a little bit esports, Overwatch League, all that good stuff. We do have Overwatch League Network, which is Overwatch League specific. We have Overwatch Recall, which is kind of like an interview type format where I talk Overwatch content creation with different creators out there. So whether you are on YouTube, whether you're a Twitch streamer, podcaster, writer, caster, all that good stuff, just a way to kind of share our passions. And then next week, or this week technically, I mean it is Sunday, on Tuesday we're actually recording episode 0 of our Fantasy Overwatch League podcast. So we're expanding over time and looking to just add and give people more content to consume.
Yeah. So how many podcasts is that you're on? Is that 3?
This will be 4 at this point.
4 of them, plus sometimes guesting on my talk show. So 4.25. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
You're a busy guy. So like I said, Overwatch is your life. You know the ins and outs of what's going on in the scene. So I'm excited to have you back on. Just a reminder for those viewing, of course, we are doing the Overwatch loot box giveaway. Even though the format of the show is a bit different today, I am still giving you some sweet loot boxes. So hang out, talk and chat, be friendly, be active. I'll be paying attention. At the end of this episode, I will award loot boxes to one active chatter. And please, if you have any questions while we're talking, please just type them in chat. We will see them and we will get to them if we can. All right. So I see you and Nira. Thank you so much for being here. So what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the PTR changes?
No, let's start with the Anna stuff. I'd start with that just because that's kind of a smaller topic just across the board.
Yes, and it is a hot topic right now due to some of the information that was given out after the story was released. Mm-hmm. So Bastet, for those that aren't aware, is actually an Egyptian goddess. She has like various names, but Bastet is like the main name. So that's where that name came from. Some people were curious, like where that name came from. And it is referenced in the story. If you actually read the short story, she explains what the mask was. But a lot of people didn't read that far, maybe, or missed that part. It's an Egyptian goddess. I just love Egyptian lore, so I just wanted to like throw that out there. The mask is really cool, and they released the short story. So I'll let you say what you want to say about it, and then I'll say my piece.
Well, like for the longest time, people have been complaining about just the drought when it comes to Overwatch lore. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of periods where we don't see like a comic or an animated short or an event to maybe tie things together. There's even been cases where like they had something planned for a book that was completely scrapped when they were doing the comic series. So this kind of came out at a good time because we're kind of in that lull period on that perspective. And Bastet basically is set after the events of Anna's comic, which was Old Soldiers, that was released back in 2016. Mm-hmm. So this basically kind of like revolves around the aftermath of the reunion between Gabriel Reyes, who is Reaper, Jack Morrison, aka Soldier 76, and Anna. And we kind of get some light shed on some of the actions of these heroes. It kind of helps flesh out their thought processes as they've been basically hiding away. And, a lot of people assume that they're dead at this point. So it kind of like fills in some of the gaps from some of the other animated shorts and some of the comics. And we do learn a couple of things. For one, we learn that Anna has, in fact, been trying to reach out to her daughter, Farah, only, she's not getting any messages back. Yeah. We learn of Jack Morrison's past romantic relationships from many years ago because he's carrying around a picture of himself and Vincent. So that was a pretty big talking point amongst the community, and a lot of people have been memeing that because, it's the internet, and I would expect nothing less at that point.
Of course. Wait. Are you saying that Soldier is gay?
I mean, he's the second. You know what the funny thing is? Not so much the way that they do it. It's just the fact that anytime a character comes out within Overwatch, it's always to a character that is completely in the background. It's never like with another major character. It's about someone that we haven't heard about before.
Exactly. No, it's pretty like mind-blowing to like Reaper and 76 having this thing. But even in the story, like, yes, they reference Vincent, but they also like there was like a single like very short part of a sentence where she referenced a relationship between Jack and Gabriel, 76 and Reaper. It's like very like much like brushed past. No, people that weren't paying attention closely probably missed it. But then when the Overwatch, was it the director, the
Michael Chu?
Michael Chu, he made that tweet saying, "Hey guys, just confirming, yes, he is in fact gay and had a romantic relationship with Reaper, and they both identify as gay." And I love it. I'm so excited about that. So two main characters like having that history. So yeah, it's neat. I love it. I love the story.
So the big takeaway from this is we kind of got to see the relationship between Anna and Soldier 76. There was a lot of like lighthearted jokes and jabs at one another based on, some of the actions that they were doing. So in the short story, Anna can basically notice that Soldier has some new wounds and they are not actually healing like they normally do, because Soldier is supposed to have like these Wolverine-esque or Deadpool type abilities where
badass in itself.
He can, just heal himself. But like she notices that the wounds just aren't healing the same way because of like some black particle that's kind of like within his system. So there's a lot of questions about whether or not, Reaper or Moira, who is working for Talon at this point, was, involved with those wounds specifically. But the funniest thing that I got out of this was when there was a quip about Jack talking about Anna and how there's nothing scarier than an old lady, because that's when like she's donning the Bastet
Yes, the
mask for the
mask.
first time.
Yeah, and she's like, I want to be scarier, so I put this mask on, and he's like, there's nothing scarier than an old woman. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, the story, I love how it ties everything together from some of the other stories that have been put out, some of the other videos. And like one of the main things on top of all the stuff we just mentioned that was brought forward was obviously they had this close friendship, this close relationship in the past. And during this short story, she actually added some like I guess like sleeping whatever to his drink, his tea, and he was shocked by that, like wow, like Anna actually like drugged me, like that's wasn't expecting that. She's really changed. Like that's not who she used to be. So it's clear that the history of events, the way things have happened, they're all different. They talked about the story talked about seeing each other's scars and damages and things that weren't the way they were used to be when they last saw each other. So it's a really really deep story. There's a lot of stuff to unpack there. But yeah, I'm so glad that they finally came up with some new information. They, like you said, they are quite slow with releasing these stories, but when they do, they're so good. They're so good, and then you've forgiven them for that minute, and then you want more.
Yeah, what I will say is though, like this is the first time they've kind of done a short story. We were so used to seeing the digital comics, which at times were animated, by some content creators, which is really cool. But the problem with the comics was they were usually only like 6, 7, maybe 8 pages at the most. So it's really hard to actually get character development or just lore development as a whole, just within that time frame. So for them to expand a bit more into a short story was a really nice touch, and that kind of led into a new event that is actually on the live servers right now, which is pretty cool because it ties directly into Bastet. So right now, this event is going on through January 21st, and you're going to be able to earn some new cosmetics, which includes the epic Anna skin that we saw in the short story. So this event is very similar to the Diva one that they did for Shooting Star, which was the Nano Cola event. So you will be able to unlock 5 new sprays. There's a new player icon. There's a new victory pose. There's the skin. And you can earn it basically a couple of ways. So you can earn cosmetics by winning games in arcade, quick play, or competitive play. So you'll get like a new cosmetic after every 3 wins you get. So at 3 wins, you get a new player icon. At 6, that is when you get the victory pose. You get the skin at 9. And then to get the sprays, you're basically watching Twitch streams, and you have to make sure that they are Overwatch streams that have drops enabled. So they have streamers like Iman, Mickey, Miro, Fran, AlphaCast. There's a whole list of them, and I know they have like set times for like who's a featured streamer. It's important to note that during these type of events, you don't actually have to be at the featured streamer at the given time slot. You can basically be on any of the Twitch streams among the list as long as the drops are enabled, and you'll still be able to earn those unlocks.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, just keep in mind that you do need to have your Twitch and your Battle.net account linked. And that's pretty much it. I know like a lot of times some of these streamers are streaming anywhere from like 6 to 10 hours. So it's very easy to just get all of the cosmetics out of the way in one sit-in. And, you can just leave it up on on an extra window, up on your browser, and you'll
play on one screen, turn up on the other screen. Just turn the volume down really low or mute the tab. You're good to go. But that being said, like the Blizzard has this list of these approved streamers that they have for this event. Each day they have a different streamer. And yesterday because I haven't done this, I haven't watched enough hours to earn the stuff. So yesterday I was just gonna pop it open and do just that. But the streamer that they had listed at that time that was supposed to be live wasn't live. So I didn't realize that you could just like click on like any of those people that have drops enabled. I didn't know that, so I didn't click through the rest of the list to see if anyone else was live. But I was really frustrated that the streamer that they have advertised on that list as being scheduled for that time slot was not. So
yeah, especially when a lot of them are actually streaming from Blizzard HQ.
Yeah, directly with those awesome Overwatch chairs that I really want so badly. Just gonna go down there and just take one and drive home with it. 24-hour drive, worth it. Yes, and your account has to be linked. And hi, Alpha Gear. And I know I didn't say hi to Robin Norge, and then Sinister. I see you guys here. It's definitely a more laid back episode because we're not diving directly into a hero information. So please, if you guys have anything that you want to add to what we're talking about, please do so. So we talked about the Bastet and the Ana loot and how to get it. I guess we could touch on the Ptr notes now. There's some changes that don't sound big at first, but they actually are going to make a difference. You can talk about that.
Absolutely. So there are some pretty drastic changes that are on the PTR, which is effectively basically going to change the landscape of the meta, both from the top to the bottom. Well, it might not change more so at the top. It's going to be more impactful.
Yeah, definitely
in
lower
silver,
down.
gold, in that sort of range. So this patch was actually deployed this past Monday on January 7th. And there are some pretty big hero balance updates, as well as a change to armor. So there's a very good chance that this is going to shake up the meta that you're either seeing in ranked, or maybe you'll start to see less of certain heroes. So what is actually changing? Well, they are changing the damage reduction from armor from -5 to -3. So before I actually talk about this change, I should kind of explain what exactly armor does in the game right now, and how that works. So armor is depleted before health, but after shields. Armor basically blocks a certain amount of damage for every shot that it takes. So if armor blocks 5 damage from every hit, that means that the person was dealing 10 damage or more. If the hit deals less than 10 damage, then that damage will be halved. So what does this mean for the heroes in the game? Well, it means that armor is effective against rapid-fire weapons and shotguns, and then it's ineffective against weapons that deal a large amount of damage in one shot. So you're primarily looking at like Widowmaker, Hanzo, primarily snipers for the most part. So when we talk about armor, there are certain characters within the game that have base armor. So this is definitely going to be a blow to all of these heroes in particular. So you're talking about Bastion, Diva, Reinhardt, Winston, Orisa, Wrecking Ball, and Brigitte. So the damage in the game is kind of going to fluctuate dependent on the pellet damage of the heroes. So I'll give you guys a couple of examples. So Widowmaker, she's a sniper. She is 1 pellet. But shotgun heroes, so you're talking Doomfist, Roadhog, Reaper, they have a large amount of pellets. So that does fewer damage to armor. So basically, the armor reduces the damage more. So what does this mean for the game in itself? Well, it means that damage reduction and the healing effectiveness are basically going to coincide with one another even further. So your shotgun, your spray heroes are going to be dealing more damage than they were before. And because of that, it's also indirectly going to reduce the impact of healing in the game, since that they're not going to be able to heal the same amount of effective damage that is coming through. So there is a lot of numbers, and luckily there is a graph, so you guys can kind of get an idea, because it is going to kind of be based on the hero. So some of the standout ones to me are Hammond. Most of his impact is going to change based on whether or not he is landing critical shots, which are headshots. So we'll see an increased damage of 40%. Orisa will see a nice boost to her damage of about 33%. Sombra is going to be very popular because not only is she going to effectively shut down tanks, but tanks are also going to be less tanky when this patch goes live. Yep. So Sombra will be doing about 25% more damage against armored targets. And I know a lot of people are wondering, okay, what does this mean about Tracer? Tracer is kind of at that weird cutoff point where she only does 6 damage. So the only thing that's impacted is when she gets headshots. So when you land a headshot with Tracer, you're going to be doing about 29% more damage. And here's the good thing. Let's say you are one of those players that is in bronze through gold. Moira is actually getting a pretty big damage boost from these changes. So
she definitely needs it. She's such a weak character already.
I mean, you can basically go in those tiers as Moira or Zenyatta and just come out with gold damage and healing. And that's even more so going to be the case now, because just her grasp alone will be seeing about a 35% increase in damage, which is ridiculous. But really the only other one that would also kind of affect the lower end is maybe Bastion, who's getting about a 20% damage boost against armor targets. So all in all, who's getting a buff from this is basically going to be the shotgun heroes. So Doomfist, Roadhog, Orisa is going to see some pretty big changes, and the rest might just depend on, what are people going to be looking to counter? So across the board, a lot of these changes are kind of looking to impact the triple tank, triple support meta.
So how effective will...
Okay, just to go back, Alpha Gare says, I just came back and I may have missed it. Did you say Zen got buffed? No. Zenyatta actually is going to get a nerf in this patch, primarily due to the change to Brigitte, because you're no longer going to have that overlap with the rally armor, which is pretty big. So across the board, there's going to be more damage output. There's going to be more stuff to heal. So from top to bottom, it's going to impact tiers differently. You're probably going to see more Bastions, more Reaper, more Moiras on the lower end. At the higher end, I'm not expecting too drastic of a shift. I know they're trying to kind of lower the impact of the triple tank, triple support compositions, but even with all of the changes, just due to the fact that how armor works and Brigitte's kit kind of coincides with that entire composition, it's still not the biggest blow to it. It just might not be ideal in every situation, but it's not going to be the death of the GOAT's composition.
So it still will be viable, just not as good?
Pretty much.
Yeah, because I do enjoy me some goats. and the goats competition as well, sure, but goats are great. No, but yeah, they're trying to shift things, and they're trying to change it up, and in lower, like you said, lower tiers, so they are higher end, not so much. So the game will feel a little different. How long till this is live? It's on the PTR right now.
PTR is usually up for 2 weeks, primarily, sometimes 3.
Right. And this is as of Monday, so
right.
Soon. Another week.
It's only been 1 week, so there's still time. The biggest question is this patch going to be live for Overwatch League? That we don't know.
Yeah. That's a good question. They do changing things right before the new season, so
they do, but they always don't implement the live patch onto the tournament patch.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see on that. So another big change is to Brigitte's Rally, which is her ultimate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Rally to me.
Yeah. Rally will now have a maximum duration of 30 seconds. Okay, so this is a pretty big change. So Rally is now only going to affect one team fight rather than rolling over into additional fights. So who does this impact the most when we talk about Overwatch heroes? Well, there are 2 primary components in GOATs, which this is going to have a huge impact on. That is Zenyatta and Zarya. It's going to impact them more so because they benefited from having armor underneath their shields, so it's a lot harder to chip away at that rally armor than, say, when you had it on really any other hero in the game. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about the team fights that are going to be happening now, there's going to be less snowball potential in between the fights, so there's less value there. So it's going to be a one fight and done type deal. It's not going to be something that you're having to chip away at time and time again. So let's say your enemy team rallies up and you initiate, you lose the fight. When you come back, it's not going to be completely one-sided again because that armor is no longer still going to be on top of that team. So that's a pretty big change. So when we're also talking about the armor, Brigitte across the board kind of is getting hit with the nerf bat again. So her healing output is basically going to be less effective, and the healing from her armor pack is also going to see its effectiveness reduced as well, just because all of that is with armor repair. So that's the way that she heals. So will this be the sweet spot for Brigitte? Honestly, I don't know. I am kind of questioning why it took them so long to nerf Rally, because to me, that was always the biggest component of her toolkit outside of the shield bash, stun combo where she could just delete a tracer or any 200 health hero, basically.
Yeah. I think it's good changes because she was really too OP. Like they nerfed her shield, that's great, but yeah, having rally nerfed a bit, which nerfed. I don't know, like yes, it has a duration to it now versus where everyone just keep the armor until it was worn away. But I'm okay with this. I think it will help balance things better. I think it's a good change. I'm all for it. I like it. Hopefully, it does feel good on the live game.
So next up, we have a change to D.Va, who has probably been. I'm not going to say this has been the hottest discussed topic because I definitely feel like that is Reaper because no one can kind of agree with how to react to that. And
I want to
hear.
I want to do it. Can I tell people the D.Va change?
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. So her defense matrix shield nonsense has an increased cooldown from 1 second to 2 seconds. So an extra second to get her out of her mech before she pops her shield up again. As a Junkrat player, I am so happy about this because that shield just eats my mind like no tomorrow. So yay, D.Va nerf. Yeah, I'll let you carry on with that, Totem.
Okay, so what does this mean for D.Va players and people going up against D.Va compositions? Well, it's going to make things easier to play around defense matrix just because you're going to have that additional second. So if you're a Zarya player, you're going to have an easier time actually landing a Graviton Surge. You're not going to have to resort to having to use it up against the wall. So it's definitely going to change up the impact of Graviton Surge. So you're probably going to be seeing a lot more wombo combos, a lot more grab, dragons or barrages, things like that. And as a D.Va player, basically this means that you're not going to be able to spam a defense matrix on and off to extend its uptime. So you're going to have less opportunity to really soak in basically just burst damage or spam damage. So you're going to have to be more precise with how you're going to be using your defense matrix. Now, that being said, when it comes to the effective pick rate of D.Va, I do not expect major changes just because of the utility of defense matrix still. Like, you're still getting the same benefits. It's just not going to be the same effectiveness. But when you're talking about D.Va, this is still the most mobile off-tank in the game. There's really no other ability that can really eat ultimates like D.Va can. So while we still may be seeing a little bit more Roadhog in, like, maybe solo play because of the pick potential, getting the first kill because of the hook combination. I still feel like D.Va's still going to be in a pretty good spot. It's just going to separate the good D.Va players and the bad D.Va players because there's going to be times where you're going to use defense matrix at the wrong time, and then that's going to open up a spot for a Zarya to come in and land the damage, or a barrage to come over top, things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited. I don't play D.Va, so I'm all for this change.
So, with that being said, there is also a pretty big change to Reaper. So, Reaper, they increase his lifesteal from 30% to 50% of his damage dealt. So, this is one that everyone is kind of up in arms about. There are a lot of people that are like, whoa, this is way too much damage. Like, if you've been on Reddit, I'm sure you've seen the clip of a Reaper going up against 6 Roadhogs, and they're surrounding him. He Death Blossoms, and he gains like 2,100 effective health, or something ridiculous. In no situation is that ever going to happen in a game. That is ideal circumstances where every pellet is landing. That's a max effectiveness that you will see. Not that you will see it. So with the lifesteal and the armor changes, you're basically going to get 66% more health back against unarmored targets. It'll be about 90% against armor targets. And then the damage buff kind of across the board is like 14% for armor targets and 22% against armor targets when you land a critical hit. And I know like math is math. I mean, people will notice it, but Reaper is not going to be the tank buster. I don't know why they keep trying to force him into that role. Like, everyone tries to label him as that, but Reaper still has the same problems that he has always had. And this is why you never really see him on higher ends of play. Reaper is still going to be viable at lower levels, and maybe in like deathmatch, where, you can have more self-sustain just from your damage alone and also the extra lifesteal. But Reaper still, with his toolkit, is really susceptible to too many things right now. So his escape is still pretty bad. I mean, Shadow Step is probably the worst ability in the game. Like, I can't even think of anything that comes close to being that useless because, one, it takes way too long to actually go through. Two, they're always fixing bugs with it because you somehow always end up in an unintended location. That's kind of always been an Overwatch meme.
Yeah. Well, hold on for a second. For those that aren't aware what Shadow Step is, it's Reaper's ability that you probably see never used ever because it's awful. It takes too long to cast, but basically from where he's positioned, you can choose for him to teleport somewhere. And so that's what we're talking about. And yeah, when I play Reaper, I never, ever use it unless I want to get up on a ledge or something and there's no enemies around me. It's useless. They really need to fix that one. Make it like an instant, like, it's just not good.
Yeah, it is really loud as well. Like, you're supposed to have Reaper who's like going into the shadows and like coming back into like reality, and yet,
it's like, hey, look at me, guys!
It's like
I'm
he's
going
just
into the
yelling.
shadows. Hey, shadows over here. Hey, look at me. Yeah, that's what it currently is. It's
yeah,
bad.
and like in that 2-second like period or whatever it is, or maybe it's like 1.5 seconds. It's way more than enough time to actually line up a shot and just delete the Reaper as soon as he phases through, which is the other thing. So the big thing with Reaper is you have to consider his toolkit. Yes, he'll have more damage dealt. Yes, he'll have more self-sustain. But at the end of the day, it still takes way too much time to set up a play with the Reaper because he's not able to actually close the distance fast enough because he's only effective in close range. So anytime you're going up against a sniper of any sorts, or, you have like a bunker defense, so, you're talking Orisa and maybe like a Junkrat or Soldier, maybe Bastion behind the behind the shield. Like, you're not going to be able to do anything there. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to think about Shadow Stepping, which would be the worst case scenario because you're not going to even survive that anyway. And then you're not going to be able to even close the gap. So you're just kind of a sit and duck. So I know a lot of people are like, whoa, Reaper's going to be completely broken because of his damage. But the chances of you actually seeing him at the higher end of play are pretty limited or non-existent. But at the lower end, Reaper might be okay. It's just a matter of how are the hit scan doing at that level? Because that can be very drastic in regards to the player in itself.
Absolutely. Like, I really want to like Reaper. When I play him, I enjoy it, but I usually switch off him really quick because I die so much just because I know I need to be close range. I need to just try to flank and sneak around and like use my ult. And more often than not, I can't even get the ult off because like they'll see me coming. And I know it's partly because I'm personally just really bad at Reaper. It's not about the character, but he's more playing against a Reaper, even a better Reaper, a good one. They're more of like an annoying fly that you're just like smack, get away, kill him, carry on with the match. So yes, he'll have a little bit more health going, like the lifesteal, but I don't think this is like a mind-blowing, like huge game-breaking thing like some people seem to think for some reason. They definitely need some more work on Reaper. Give him some love. Gabriel needs it.
Get rid of Shadow Step and replace it with something that's actually useful.
Just remove it altogether. We'll be happier for it.
It'll be the first ability really deleted from the game and not just like reworked into something else. So the other thing I kind of like take note of why you won't see Reaper is we've seen a huge increase of play of Mccree after his sweep of balance updates to Fan the Hammer. I'm sure you guys have all seen a lot of Mccree's rolling around, only right-clicking and quick play, or maybe even competitive. Because that ult fire on Mccree is absolutely insane again. So, like, even if a Reaper, Wraith forms in, that's more than enough time for the Mccree to line up the flashbang grenade and just right-click him, one full swoop, and a Reaper is gone.
Yeah, the Wraith form, it'd be better if it was invisible, because it's so, like, big and obvious. Like, it's black, you see him coming in, you just wait a second for him to be out of Wraith and then kill him, like stun him, kill him, dead. Like, it'd be great if they made it more transparent, harder to see or something. Like, it's just, he's for a character that's supposed to be sneaky, he's not sneaky at all. Which sucks. I want to like Reaper, I really do. He needs some fixing.
But who knows when that is actually going to happen. So that's pretty much it for the PTR. I know they did add an update to like the spectator mode. So like with the kill feed, you'll be able to see when D.Va's defense matrix actually eats an ultimate. Like, I know in the game, like when you eat an ultimate, it kind of like plays like a cue, basically. Like D.Va says something like in game that's very snarky, and it depends on what you're actually eating. So that's definitely something to take note of. So that's going to be good for like casters to know for sure whether or not a Garapaton Surge was eaten, or a Hanzo Dragon, things like that. But that's pretty much it for the PTR. I know they did add a new patch to Live this past week, which had not only the Bastet event, but it also added the Overwatch League expansion team skins. So definitely check that out. So, you can go get your Vancouver Titans jerseys, or, your Hanjo Spark ones if you want to, just be one of those fanboys who takes Runaways colors.
Right. And
Yeah.
I swear, a lot of people that have that skin, just they're only buying it because of the colors, not because of not because they like the Hanjo Spark. They just want the colors, and that's totally fine. I have yet to buy the Vancouver Titans skins, even though I really want to, because I find them expensive. I'm just really poor right now, but it's $5 for a skin, and for one character, it's only $5, and then you have it on all your characters. I don't like it. I'll buy it at some point. I'm just being unhappy and grumpy about it right now. But
it's also the fact that you can't actually earn tokens right now that kind of adds on to that as well.
Yeah, they force you. You have to spend those dollars to get those skins. No, so I'm waiting. I'm being grumpy about it for a little bit, and then I'll eventually buy it for at least one or two characters that I play mainly. Definitely not for all of my heroes though. No,
right?
No.
Yeah,
Give
definitely
me
adds up
them.
with how many heroes there are.
Yeah, it does. All right, so making sure we're not missing anything in chat. Any questions we had? Ashigaru is saying that the armor pack's already been removed from the game.
Right, that was with Torbjorn.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah,
that.
it's weird because they basically took armor pack away because they gave Brigitte her healing through armor. Basically, that was the reason why they removed it.
Yeah. All right.
Because they were pretty close.
So let me read through chat here really quick. Who has been active in chatting? This week, the winner for the loot boxes will be Sinister. You've been here since pretty much the beginning. I've seen you talking throughout, and of course, Sin, you're always lovely. So I'll hit you up with some loot boxes. I will throw some loot boxes at your face a little bit later here. So I guess that's kind of wrapping up here. Thank you, Totem, for coming in, saving my day. Again, for those that missed at the beginning, originally we were supposed to talk about Roadhog today, but my guest had an unforeseen circumstance come up, and we weren't able to do the episode with him. But reserving Roadhog for him, so I didn't want to find someone else to do Roadhog. So that's why we're just coming in, talking about some PTR changes and best stats and other Overwatch goodies. So Roadhog is being pushed to a later date to be determined. Next week will be Brigitte, with return guest Arhath. Everyone loved him so much. He was such a great guest to have on. I had so much fun talking to him, so I'm excited to have him back on next week to talk about Brigitte. And we'll see how he feels about the Brigitte changes.
I'm sure he's going to tell you she's still going to be playable.
Oh yeah, he definitely will. He's like a top 500. Like he knows what he's about. So he'll definitely have an opinion one way or the other. I'm excited to have him on. She's
still like the 1v1 queen by far.
Oh yeah, you don't want to get up in Brigitte's face. You're gonna die. All right. So again, Totem, thank you so much. And I'll let you plug your things again. Let me put your info on the screen for those that weren't here at the beginning.
There's too many. But
so plug them all.
Well, you can just follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/OWLN show. That's where we have all of our podcasts. You can find our schedule there. Or you just look up Heroes Never Die, Overwatch League Network, Overwatch Recall. And if you want to find me on Twitter, you can do so at Totemlydrunk CTR.
Excellent. And as you know, Totem, on my episodes, I like doing at least one thing that puts my guest on the spot. So, and you can totally decline. I'm okay with saying no. Would you mind bringing out your little instrument you got going on?
Oh boy, I thought you were gonna make me
playing anything for us. No, normally I make my guests do voice lines from the game, but not all my guests have one of these.
Yeah, they don't have one of these.
It's a ton.
See, that's the thing, because I'm like still learning how to play. I don't even know how well it's gonna even come in on the microphone.
I can kind of hear it. So for those that don't know what,
hold on, let me turn up the volume.
It's is it an automaton?
It's automaton.
Sorry, automaton. It's a Japanese thing.
Oh yeah.
We gotta show the little face. Like show them the little face as you're doing it. It's just so cute. Look at that.
You basically have to open its mouth, and that helps the sound come out more. Like it'll still play, like if you don't open it, but you're just not getting enough sound. And then you can do like the vibrato.
I need to get me one of these. It does not. My slide whistle and my kazoo have nothing against an automaton.
Yeah. So yeah, like as I said, like the biggest problem is it's like the board is like so small, as you guys can see. So
if
like
the notes
are
it's like an
very
electronic synthesizer little thing. So where your fingers are on that bar, it changes the notes. It's neat.
Yeah. When I got it in from Amazon, and you know, this guy. Like, I opened it at my sister's house in front of my niece and nephews, and I'm like, you guys, I guarantee you will never guess what is inside this box. And I gave them like 100 guesses.
Yep. No.
They weren't even close on any of them.
But what you need to get to go with that horse mask is a set of these, because these just go with it
absolutely.
so well.
The oversized glasses.
Yeah. Helps you see better. I play better in Overwatch when I wear these glasses, because
that makes sense.
See things clear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Makes my eyes bigger. And if I like line up with my ring light, there we go. I have pupils.
I wonder if, like, with those on, if it increases the potency of the Grandma goggles, so the Nano Boost tactical visor.
Maybe I haven't tried that yet. I'll find out.
Because you'd have like a wider like field of vision at that point. I feel like.
Yep.
I don't know if that would directly translate to the game, but you never know.
I'll give it a try.
Okay.
On that note, before we solve into complete fuckery, I'm gonna end that here. Let me play the video one more time for you guys. And again, Totem, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Always good to be here.
Yeah, let's remember to do full size milk first, and then I'm just clicking on all the things. Whoop-pow.
Up the volume. It's time. Ow!